All right, here's an example of graphing inequalities. So let's look at this, and this is in two-dimensional space. So first of all, how you graph, I don't really care. So if you make an XY table, that sometimes works. So if 0 is x, let's see, divide by 7, that would be what, 2. If y is 0, that would go away, and divide by 2 is 7. So, and check your answer, 0, 2 works, and 7, 0. So if I'm going to graph that, I would go 7 on the x-axis. And I go, what, 2 on the y. Okay, and then I'd look and see open dot, close dot. It is not equal to, so I'm just going to do a dash to get my border. And then I'd have to shade. So we'll do that in a second. Some of you who don't like to graph like this, you would solve for y. So subtract your 2x, divide by 7. So your y-intercept is 2, so that's where you graph. And then rise over run, I could rise 2 and run back 7, rise 2, run back 7, or go down 2 and to the right 7. So either way you can graph it. Remember, if you divide by negative, though, you have to flip your sign. And then I'm going to shade. So to shade, what you do is the easiest point to test is 0, 0 if you can. So notice I have A and B, and 0, 0's in the A region, so I can test it. If 0, 0's on my line, then I have to pick, you know, some other point like 3, 4, or something like that. So if I sub in 0, I get 0 plus 0 is less than 14, which is a true statement, which means, yes, that is an answer to this. So I am going to shade this direction, and B is not even an option for me, not even a possibility. All right, now the second one, if you're a chart person, so what's going to happen, well, let me say this. This other line is going to cut this somehow. And these are a no right now. These are a no. So none of those are possibilities. So when I graph this other line, it's going to cut it, and there's going to be a new A and a new B, and we're going to test again. So I'm going to go ahead, and if you're a chart person, now some of you on that review I was looking at, you weren't remembering that 0 went with 2 and 7 went with 0. So make sure you keep track of that. So I like making a chart better. If x is 0, that's what? Divide by -5 and -2. Now if y is 0, this is going to be ugly. That's the problem. So it's 10 thirds. It's kind of hard to graph thirds. That would be, what, 3 1/3? I mean, we could kind of try it. So 3 1/3 is, you know, about right there. And then y is a -2. But it's not going to be exact, and so that's kind of a problem. So what you can do is you can just make up a point until you get something nice. So let's see, since these are 3's and 5's, maybe subbing in, like 15, but that's kind of big, but that might be okay. Let me see, if I sub in a 5 for x, that would be 15. Bring it over to the other side, so -15, -15. That would be a -5y, and that's -5. So that'd be a +1. Let's see. 15 minus 5 is 10, yeah. So 5, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 is an exact point that, you know, I could look at. All right, again, this is a solid line. So again, if I graph paper, it would be better, but this is a solid line. And you see how it cuts the yes area in half. The no area, this is a done deal. I mean, that's not going to be an answer. So I get a new A and a new B. All right. And both of them are under this line right here. And so again, if 0, 0 is in that space, I can test it. It might not be a yes anymore, it may be. Or I could test a point over here. So I'm just going to test 0, 0 since it's on the A side. So again, I'm going to sub in 0 here, 0 there, see what I get. So I get 0 minus 0 is greater than 10. So is 0 greater than 10? And the answer this time actually is no. All right, so it is a no. 0, 0 is not. So notice where the no's are. The no's on the A side. So that's saying none of this is an answer. That's all not answers. So that means B is going to be the yes side. And so I have to find where my line was. So that part, and then that part, and all of this part is my shaded region right there. Now on Alex, they double shade, you know, they shade over here, and where it's double shaded is an answer. So like Alex would have shading over here too, but only where it's red and blue. Double shading would be the answer. So that region right there is the answer. Again, with graphing on this one over here, I'm going to erase this quick. If you don't like to graph with the table, which is totally understandable, you can solve for y. So bring the negative 3x over, divide by negative 5. Now when you divide by negative 5, make sure you flip this guy. Positive 3/5 and a negative 2. So if you're this type of person, you would start out at, and I lost my axis here, but right there. So you guys would start out at a negative 2 and then rise 3, run 5, rise 3, run 5, rise 3, run 5, and you'd still get the same line. So again, that is how you graph those systems of inequalities. Graph shade, where it's double shaded, that's your answer.